What is up, guys? Welcome back to Punk Politics with me, Thompsin. Lying in politics has reached its apogee, or nadir, depending on which side of the fence you're on. For some, it's never been so good. It's never been this easy to be this dishonest and have this little blowback. You could just carry on regardless. For others, it feels like the political discourse has plunged itself to such barrel-scraping lows now. Just lies, and each one more insultingly ridiculous than the last.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
All guidance was followed. All the guidelines were observed.
Like, have you ever had somebody lie to you so much, so brazenly, that when they, crack out another one to you, you're like, oh my God, did you actually think I was going to believe that? It's like somebody's shit husband, you know, and they're like, sorry about the condom wrapper you found in my wallet and the lipstick on my genitals. The thing is, like, Dave put the wrapper in there for a laugh, and then they put the lipstick on my old boy when I was passed out, because they all said I had an ugly penis, and that it might make it look better, and it would save me time doing it on the train. So, yeah. So they put lipstick on your penis. Yeah. And also put an empty condom wrapper and a used condom in your pocket. Yeah. It was a joke. Right. What? Oh my God. Do you actually think I'm going to sit here believing this? Really? Like, it's not the lying per se. It's the fact they think you are dumb enough to believe that lie. Like, it kind of gets you thinking, Christ, imagine the tier of stupid they must think I inhabit. I must be so dumb. Like, you actually sit there wondering if maybe I am this cognitively challenged and just everyone's always been really nice about it all these years.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the penny finally drops, did it?
Huh?
Got there in the end, didn't we?
I don't understand.
Oh dear. Oh, back we go. Oi, Trish! I thought he'd broken through the Dunning-Kruger for a minute.
Oh dear, and he didn't, no?
No, he's back to his usual babbling nonsense now.
Oh well, just keep him away from the cutlery, yeah?
As you were, son. Crack on with your little talent show, whatever this is.
Right. Anyway, that's sort of where we're at now, is politicians spouting bewilderingly insulting lies.
Nothing has changed.
Or at least that's where it feels we're at these days. Because lying and dishonesty, particularly by the current governing party, has obviously become a problem, but it's about to get much, much worse. And more on that in a moment. But first, let me paint a picture for you with examples of how and why the lying is so bad fundamentally. Because a friend of mine from a campaign group once told me, and I am paraphrasing here slightly, that the Conservative Party are godless agents of evil, dancing in the dry ice smoke of their duplicitous sin. Okay, I'm embellishing. He said that the left basically want to improve society, whereas the things that drive people on the right tend to be profit and self. So where the left can sort of credibly go to market and go, we need to get some new hospitals, the right then have to sort of pretend that they also want to help you. But, and here's the important thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that the right don't want to build the hospital. It's just, you know, $60,000 bill for appendix removal. Coming soon, 2-for-1 deals on chest x-rays. Because the motives driving the right building of the hospital are like, all right, fine, if they want to be healthy. God, do they ever stop moaning? But fine. But is there some way we can make money out of this? Anyway, then on the rare occasion that the right are then held to account and made to answer questions, like, why are you funneling all this public money out to your own private contract staff agency? Or, you know, whatever the scandal is that week. When they are kind of held to account for it, they kind of have to lie about it, right? You know, we're like, well, why are you basically giving all of these companies away? Why are you awarding all of these $1 million contracts to your mates. Like, why have you underfunded this ward and then staffed it with expensive agency staff? And they're like, no, it might look bad, but just remember, we love you and we care about the NHS. Thank you and good night. You know? And it's like, we find these questions, we're like, why would you do that? Why would you privatise? Why would you underfund this? That makes no sense. And then when they're pushed to answer, it's like, here comes the lie. Are you ready? Well, we believe that privatisation is the best route to efficiency. And then, there you go, with train lines and hospitals and the BBC and everything. It should all be privatised. The state shouldn't be in the railway business. It's not the state's job to take your appendix out. Like, it never ceases to amaze me how they're so keen to fire sale public institutions and take the state and just shrink the state. And they will keep doing that right up until the point you suggest outsourcing them. So, Minister, you say it's better to have competition. Yes, that's right. And you say the private sector is more efficient and encourages competition. It's not a monopoly because you operate these 5-year bid contracts and then a different company can step in. Yeah, that's right. So here's a question for you, Minister. Why don't we put ministerial roles on a 5-year private sector bid? How's that grab you? Oh, I don't know about that. Well, I mean, it would probably be more efficient, right? If Atos and G4 Securicor and Serco were all in a race to the bottom to run your department, right? Well, I'm not so sure that would work, actually. Oh, of course it would. You could 2p across to Serco and they could bin your benefits and no more grace and favour for you. No chauffeur and slash your expenses. And no. My job has to remain public sector because there's no discernible way to generate profit from it. Well, then let me put this to you, Minister. It sounds like it wouldn't survive in the free markets to me. All right, you listen to me, you insolent little p***. So anyway, yeah, it feels like the left sort of care about stuff and the right foundationally don't, and so they have to lie about it. Anyway, lying in politics is obviously nothing new. I mean, my dad never missed a chance to tell the old when his lips are moving joke about how you can tell when a politician is lying. Although, full disclosure, I think that is his only joke.
Are you sure you just didn't get the other ones?
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, what is new is the frequency and the depth and the shamelessness. Take the last week, for example. We've got Keir Starmer's Labour Party, who have explicitly ruled out trying to reverse Brexit and explicitly ruled out rejoining the single market.
No case for rejoining the EU, no case for the customs union or the single market.
Now, obviously, I think that's stupid. I think we should rejoin, and the sooner the better. But for one reason or another, Keir Starmer has decided that under a Labour government, there would be no case for rejoining. And yet, how many headlines and statements from ministers and tabloid hacks have you seen in the last week suggesting Labour are planning to take us back into the European Union? Like, fine if they are, obviously, I can't wait. But I could find absolutely no evidence to back that up whatsoever. So until somebody can show me that Keir Starmer has agreed, or even secretly agreed, to that policy, then these people are lying. It's as simple as that. And that's where we are. One party rule it out, the other party completely ignore that and lie that the opposite is true. Or take HS2.
Today, Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet has given high-speed rail the green signal.
This is a fantastic project for the country. It delivers massive increase in capacity.
You have this huge levelling up agenda. It was one of the big 2019 GE pillars, right? Levelling up. We're gonna upgrade these forgotten communities. Quick! Hurry up, lads, before they realise that we've lost the funding from the EU, or that they were ransacked by austerity. Quick! Level these poffers up. And a big part of that was this HS2 extension from Birmingham to Manchester. It was a red wall wet dream. The Northern Powerhouse. But reports that Sunak was about to scrap that phase of it, they bubbled up 2 weeks ago.
Certainly there's been a lot of doubt over HS2 for some time, and James Cleverly's rather non-committal remarks there will do little to quell those concerns.
And now it's about to come out, so they've known about it for a minimum of 2 weeks. So why have they been lying, pretending that they didn't? Or better still, if you want to pan out of the actual HS2 cost, think of it like this: the 35 billion that it's supposed to save by scrapping this part. Like, if the Exchequer so desperately need that money, then just say why it's so essential that you scrap it. Just talk to us like adults. You know, why it's so important that you save every billion that you can. Because the UK's debt has got over 100% of its GDP.
The country's national debt, excluding the banks, rose to $2.6 trillion, nearly $300 billion more than the previous year. Now, this is the first time that the UK's debt has surged past 100% of the gross domestic product.
And you can't raise taxes, you've got no growth, you can't magic any money after furlough and fraud. And if post-austerity you can't even start slashing everything in sight, the reality is that we could be the next sovereign debt crisis. So why not just say that? Now that one you can sort of, I don't know, you can kind of understand it, you can sort of forgive it, maybe it's a keep my cards against my chest sort of thing. What's far more egregious though is last week's net zero stuff.
We seem to have defaulted to an approach which will impose unacceptable costs on hard-pressed British families.
We're not going to save the planet by bankrupting the British people.
By now, you'll probably be aware that the Prime Minister watered down a load of environmental pledges designed to help Britain lead the way in meeting its net zero commitments.
About the date of banning petrol and diesel cars, about the rollout of new boilers, replacement for gas.
All of it trashed. But how was this marketed to us? It was like, well, Britons can't afford the cost of this right now. I was like, hang on, wait. Britons can't. Which Britons specifically? The hardest up. Those on the lowest incomes would have been hit the hardest. Oh my God.
Hard-pressed British families.
Oh my God.
But this was so insultingly dishonest. It was Johnsonian in its shamelessness. Like, do you really think those on the lowest incomes are the same people who were about to buy a brand new Beamer off the forecourt? Do you think broke people are also landlords being asked to install heat pumps? Really? Like, how many council estate single mothers or refugees or people on disability benefit, how many of them do you know who can't take the added cost of green materials to their property development empire? And so then when they're challenged like that, what do? Meat tax and 7 bins. Boom! Because, like, remember, they're not there to help, right? They're just fueled by self and profit. But is there some way we can make money out of this? What they want to do is they want to water down net zero so that they can profit either through their shares in big oil corporations or by being given cushy board roles at Shell or BP or whatever, or donations through to CCHQ. So no, they don't want to help, but they know that they have to give some reason for doing this, some pretense for how this is helping people.
Hard-pressed British families.
The poorest can't afford it, and that's who we're looking out for here. Really?
Hard-pressed British family.
Because last time we asked you for help, you just clapped a bit and told us to hold our nerve. In fact, I'm still holding it. We're just looking out for the poorest here. But then when they can't back that up, then they row back on policies that never actually existed.
Where was this proposal for the government to put a tax on meat?
This is the thing, I'm going to keep saying it. The left want to help. The right don't, but they kind of have to lie about it. You won't be hit with any sort of meat tax. Wasn't ever a thing. And you won't have to worry about sorting your rubbish into 7 different bins. We're cancelling that. Like, is this how bad cancel culture has gotten now? Like, I know Russell Brand had his ads pulled, but has cancel culture got so bad that it's crossed the Rubicon of reality? Are we cancelling made-up things now? We're cancelling things that never existed, lads. We're pre-cancelling. It's getting serious. Things that don't exist are now threatened with no longer existing. Honestly, help me, somebody, before they come for other things that never existed, before they come for my happy childhood. And you'll be pleased to know the lie went further and deeper. This was The Sun's Harry Cole covering the story. Sun campaign victory. He's given us a break. So look, just in case you're not keeping up here, let me just break this down for you. This is The Sun, who vociferously supported Boris Johnson, who he himself implemented these net zero pledges.
We have to deal with our CO2 emissions, and that is why the UK is calling for us to get to net zero as soon as possible.
And this is them claiming that they campaigned against them. So is that a lie? And that it's a victory because policies that never existed, you won't be hit with any sort of meat tax. So are they lies as well? Were rolled back or cancelled, while policies that did exist but probably wouldn't affect you or me are then watered down, and that somehow gives you and me a break. So okay, that's a lie too then, is it? It's just lies. And unfortunately, with lying in politics, it doesn't look like things are going to stop here. Things are going to get worse. Because we saw in the 2019 election that rather than social media acting as a sort of lightning rod for exposing dishonesty, disingenuousness, obfuscation within the political process, actually, it served as a conduit for some parties to sort of exploit it as a means to further confuse the electorate rather than enlighten it. Indeed, the James Cleverleys and Oliver Dowdens of this world really aren't scared to use modern technology as a way of showcasing their innately dishonest foundations. It was reportedly Cleverley's team who renamed the CCHQ Twitter account to Fact Check UK in the middle of an election debate. Yeah. I still don't think enough is made of that. An election debate where each of the representatives from the main parties are supposed to answer questions honestly. And these guys changed their verified name to Fact Check UK and then lie and say that one of the other representatives is kind of lying. And no, things haven't got saner since. Indeed, Team Sunak, just like Team Johnson and Team May before, might not ever harbour much of a desire to get into the rail or hospitals business. It's not the state's job to take your appendix out. But they don't seem to have much of an issue going into the journalism one, having recently been exposed as having put out fake newspapers all over the southeast. Like literal propaganda! Like, okay, so let's just pause for a minute. Let's just back up a second. So why is this about to get worse, Age? So first, consider the lying, the default dishonesty, the misrepresentations. Consider the Fact Check UK stuff last GE. Bear in mind the fake local newspapers, the bewilderingly insulting lies about net zero and Labour's stance on Brexit. And ask yourself this. Where do you think this is headed? I'll tell you where I think this is going, right? I think at the next general election, like once we're in the campaign proper, I think you're going to hear some deep fake audio of Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner is going to be perfectly produced AI audio. And they'll be, laughing about how they're going to put everybody's taxes up, or how they're going to nationalise all of the newspapers, or free the pedos.
Free the pedos.
And this audio will be indistinguishable from reality, perfectly produced, modelled on their real voices. And it will be published by CCHQ, and it will flood your Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and everything. And even though it's fake, people will just take it at face value. It will sort of ferment and enrich, for want of a better word, their perspective and how they perceive the Labour Party, even though it isn't real.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. People will see the small print. They'll know that it isn't real.
You really think the same people who get their political opinions from briefly walking past a newspaper stand at a 24-hour garage scarcely read an article in their life? You think they're going to take the time to read a little 8-font asterisk disclaimer on a tweet? No, people will share this post and quote tweet it, having taken it as read. I knew it, same old Labour. It'll be retweeted by Russian bots. It'll be amped up on YouTube channels. It'll be retailed out by Harry Cole as though it's real. I mean, here will be a thing that never took place. But oh Lord, there'll be no cancel culture here. Because somewhere down the bottom of this CCHQ thing, there will be an asterisk that says something like, this is an audio regeneration of what we imagine they're probably saying behind closed doors, to sort of vaguely make it okay. But the reality will be this. It won't even be illegal. They can absolutely do this. And you know why? Because AI needed urgent regulation about 5 years ago. And no, it hasn't happened, because the government have been so unutterably inept. The Conservative chairs have been using their time to appease donors, while each of the Home Secretaries have spent all of their time criminalising protesters and banging on about boats. It's like, hey, Sue, do you want to maybe spend some time constructing a legal framework, something that could prevent nefarious actors from exploiting new technologies? Like, you know how they did in 2016 with like all of the micro-targeting and the bots and the stuff? Well, that's going to happen again, but with like AI and deep fakes. Do you want to maybe have a look at that? Try and stop people disrupting our sovereign democratic process? Woke, tofu, wokerati, poppies! Oh, okay. Great. Good stuff. But won't the Electoral Commission look into it, Aid? No. They neutered them. Do you remember? The Electoral Commission, if the government get their way, are about to be stripped of the power that they would need to be able to bring their own prosecutions against a political party. So if CCHQ did, for example, behave despicably at the upcoming general election, or even outside of it, the Commission could presumably now be stacked with friendly faces. And those friendly faces might vote against taking any action. Or even if they weren't a bunch of people that Sunak plays golf with, the government itself will now be empowered to redefine the Electoral Commission's remit. Like, we don't think the Electoral Commission should really be in the business of looking into who paid for the Prime Minister's wallpaper, to be honest with you. Honestly, like, these crooks and their in the business of. The state shouldn't be in the business of taking your appendix out. Well, it's not the Commission's business, really, to look into the wallpaper. Like, they love to wheel that stuff out, like, oh, the EC shouldn't be in the business of who paid for the decor. Government shouldn't be in the business of running rail lines. And yet, for some up reason, you could get, like, this guy over here who made all of his money in recruitment, nothing to do with government, nothing to do with interior design, and yet he will pay the bill for the interior design of number 10. Like, I don't know if it's a recruiter or a donor's business to be paying for your interior design, bro. Like, I don't know how we ended up here, where it's a credible argument to say the government shouldn't be in the business of running healthcare, and yet people whose skill sets and life experience is rooted entirely in government appears to be such a natural fit for sitting on the board of private healthcare companies. So anyway, yeah, look, all I'm saying is that when the deep fake audio shows up, don't be expecting the Home Secretary or the Electoral Commission to fix it. And certainly not in time for the next general election. Or the press, for that matter. God, we haven't even touched on the press and the nutless journalists and what happens to a liberal democracy when they stop holding power to account, when they abandon the idea of hunting scoops, when they stop trying to disprove what they're being told by a politician and instead just retail out their team's press releases. He's given us a break! Instead, what we have here is a governing party who can't tell the truth, because to do so would expose them as being hugely corrupt. So they've lied, historically, repeatedly, and they will continue to lie for as long as they're set up within the current parliamentary apparatus. And that is an apparatus where corporations buy policy, where ministers have second jobs, not because they're in the business of running rail or hospitals or whatever, but because corporations will pay them 100 grand a year so they have their ear when they need them. Where the governing party are so subservient to their donors that a mere 50 grand donation could get you like a £20 million contract. Like, it's a company, basically. You invest a bit here, you get all of this out this end. And honestly, the sooner this company is put out of business permanently, the better for all of us.